Let's look at Unit 5, tissues. Tissues are groups of similar cells that carry out similar functions. Histology is the study of tissues. 4 types of primary tissues exist: epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous. Do not confuse biological tissues with tissue paper. Tissues are not necessarily thin sheets of material, although, as you'll see, epithelial tissue does consist of thin sheets. Epithelial tissue, as I said, are thin sheets of tissue covering internal and external surfaces of organs and tubes. For example, inside the mouth, outside of the skin, the inside of the intestines, the inside of the trachea, and the walls of kidney tubules. This diagram shows a side view of epithelial tissue. It has 2 surfaces. The basal surface rests on a basement membrane that's composed of areolar or connective tissue, and the apical or free surface. It faces the air or body fluids. It's often modified with cilia or flagella. There's a microvilli, another modification. There are cilia. And here are examples: the outside of the body, skin, body cavities, tube lumens. What is a lumen? It's the inside of a tube. The shapes of cells are useful. Flat epithelial cells are called squamous. If they're square, they're cuboidal, actually cube-shaped. Many are column-shaped, columnar. There's another type of epithelial tissue called transitional. That's not a true shape because the cells will change shape from cuboidal to squamous when the tissue is stretched. Cell layers: simple if there's one cell layer, stratified if it has many cell layers. Some epithelial tissue is called pseudostratified because at first glance it looks like it has many layers, but actually the cells are all resting on the basement membrane and they have different heights. If we combine the shapes and layers, we can classify epithelial tissue into simple squamous, for example, serous membranes lining the body cavities, simple cuboidal, kidney tubules, for example, simple columnar, some mucous membranes. Stratified squamous would be some mucous membranes, for example, in the esophagus and the epidermal layer of the skin. Stratified cuboidal, the ducts of sweat glands. And stratified columnar, these are not very common. Pseudostratified columnar are more common. They're found in the trachea, for example. Other characteristics of epithelial cells include they are highly cellular. The nuclei of columnar cells are located at the base of the cells. In stratified epithelium, the basal layer of cells are cuboidal and assume their final shape as they grow out toward the surface. Here, for example, cuboidal at the base, flat at the surface. Or these, cuboidal at the base, columnar at the surface. In stratified squamous epithelium, the nucleus often becomes flatter, closer to the surface. The cells are attached to each other by adjacent cell membranes, which may be twisted into one another or linked by various cell junctions. The cells are attached to the basement membrane. This membrane has 2 layers, a basal lamina produced by the epithelial cells and a reticular lamina produced by reticular connective tissue. Epithelial functions are related to the free surface and include protection, secretion by individual cells or organized into glands. For example, exocrine glands secrete substances to the surface through ducts. They include merocrine glands that release the secretion from vesicles. Apocrine glands, which release the secretion by the release of the entire vesicle, for example, milk from the mammary glands. And holocrine glands that release the secretion when the entire cell disintegrates, for example, sebaceous glands. Endocrine glands are another type of gland composed of epithelial tissue. They secrete their substances into the blood. Another function is absorption, lubrication, and filtration. Sensory reception. Many of the senses are derived from epithelial tissue. Connective tissue. It may be sheet-like or compact. It tends to be located inside or between the organs of the body. It's not very cellular. It arises from mesenchyme and contains scattered cells and a lot of extracellular material. We can call this the matrix. The major cell types found in most connective tissue include fibroblasts. They produce and secrete fibers. Macrophages. These are disease defense cells. They carry out phagocytosis and they release many chemical mediators. Many other types of cells are found in specialized connective tissue. The matrix includes fibers of protein. A common fiber is collagen, very strong and non-elastic. Elastic fibers, not as strong but highly elastic. Reticular fibers, neither strong nor elastic, but forming a network of fibers. There may be a ground substance, that is an organic and inorganic material that fills in the connective tissue. It may include minerals like calcium, phosphorus. Connective tissue includes areolar connective tissue. You see in the diagram the collagen fibers and elastic fibers. Notice also the nuclei are scattered about. White fibrous connective tissue. Tendons are made of white fibrous connective tissue. They're almost pure collagen fibers, extremely strong. And adipose tissue. Each adipose cell is filled with a large vacuole containing fat. Cartilage is another type of connective tissue. There are three types. Hyaline cartilage, it's usually found commonly in the joints. Elastic cartilage, for example, in the ear. And fibrocartilage, for example, between the intervertebral discs. Bone is yet another connective tissue. And believe it or not, so is blood. Muscle tissue is involved in movement. Muscle fibers are the cells. There are three types. Smooth muscle with spindle-shaped cells and the nuclei in the center of the cell. Spindle shape means pointed at both ends. This smooth muscle is found in the walls of the internal organs, and smooth muscle therefore comprises the visceral component of the body. Cardiac muscle, long interconnected fibers found in the heart, contain clear granules of glycogen. You'll hear more about this when we get to the unit on muscles. Skeletal muscle, long parallel fibers with nuclei along the edges. Skeletal muscle is attached to the skeleton. Skeletal muscle is often called voluntary muscle because it is voluntary. It's characteristic of the somatic part of the body. The major components of The visceral part of the body, as I mentioned, is smooth muscle, walls of the internal organs, walls of blood vessels. Now, notice blood vessels are functionally considered visceral, even though they may be located in the body wall and the limbs, which is considered part of the outer tube, the somatic part. Smooth muscle is located in the hair follicles. Nervous tissue is located in the nervous system and involved in internal communication. There are two cell types, neurons or nerve cells, having two basic parts, the cell body containing the usual cellular organelles, and cell processes, extensions from the cell body, including axons that conduct nerve impulses and dendrites that receive and generate nerve impulses. Glia are supporting cells for the nervous system. We're beginning to learn more and more about the role of glia. And that is a look at tissues. Now we're ready to go to Unit 6, the skin.